a chaos causer, right? It's terrible. So let's go to the other questions. The first one here was you, Steve. It seems every department works for a different company. No one seems to have clarity on their own jobs or the jobs of any of their colleagues. Clarity and roles and responsibility is critical. And I'm going to do a little play on words here. I think I'm going to start calling you Antika or Inticha, anti-chaos. You fight chaos through clarity.
Indeed, indeed. Well, as I was listening to, everyone else talk, for the companies that do have process, I mean, the chaos comes from people trying to bypass it. My example of the sales guy saying, well, hey, turn in Sev ones for everything. You misspelled, a word on a screen somewhere, Sev one. And my discussions on road mapping, so many people look at that and say, maybe if we do the roadmap just right, we can, have more resources. Even when you do have process, it's so frustrating that people are bypassing the process. And I think a lot of that always goes back to clarity and roles. I've talked in the past about, are you a products business or are you a consulting shop? And the answer is the salespeople are always in a consulting shop. And so they honestly think their job is to go out and find anybody with money and then take it and then come back in and say, okay, this guy wants a thing that we've never made before, but it doesn't look that hard to me. I mean, it's just software, right? So if we just took, the UI from that thing and the architecture from that thing, and you probably need a database, we ought to go get one of those. You could just put them together, right? I mean, how hard could it be? And, I'm like, that should be, a capital offense. We should just kill them right there on the spot and tell them to stop doing this shit.
But how much of that is, they get trained in strategic selling and consultative selling, go find the pain point and stick your finger in it and make it hurt. If we as product management and product marketing and product specialists or whatever the title is, aren't giving them the context for the problems we have and helping them guide the conversation around the problems we solve that we know, they're going to, there's the old saying, if you don't tell engineers what to build, they're going to build something because that's what they do. And if you don't tell sales what to sell and how to, the value prop and the segments, they're going to go sell stuff because that's what they do.
You're right. That's a very good point.
You're right.
So,
but Steve, some of this also, it struck me. I wrote down because it struck me when you said something that, are we really failing in the build by partner type of analysis? I mean, I don't think we don't have. I've never really met a product manager who's really good at, they're either builders, they like to build stuff, and there's an organization behind them to build it, or they are partners and acquirers. They like to bolt on stuff.
Integrators.
And yeah, and and we have that we have that in our company. We have one shop that says, I can't deal with our tech group. I'm going to buy my way forward. And I have another group that, gazillion hours are being spent on things that should have probably been, outsourced to somebody else, especially when it comes to AI and those types of things. I just don't, and I've never met a product manager that has really had a good head strategically around that path, that path forward kind of analysis that says, let me take a second step back. We need to achieve this, this, and this. And my best way forward is going to be to either build by a partner my way there.
So Rob, actually, that's an amazing transition to the answer I had next in sort of the conversation you and I had earlier. I had said, while the most recent chaos was an executive, the most frequent chaos has been the engineering trying to do their own thing. CTO or head of development who thinks their team knows better than the customer and who has not built here syndrome, and wastes time building capabilities that could easily be done with commercial off-the-shelf components and those types of things. I actually, for me, when I got into the more corporate development side of product management, it was because I was at a company where I had a head of engineering who, this is what I would describe him, right? Not built here syndrome, thought he knew everything better than the product managers or their customers themselves. And my president and I said, okay, if we're going to be able to deliver value to our market, we're not going to get it through him. And that's where we started identifying partnerships and acquisitions. I mean, that would sort of be the path: partner, validate the concept, and acquire. So, actually that company, I actually had all of them. We had an executive who told me, no, change your numbers because it was the president's idea. I'm like, no, that's chaos, but I wouldn't do it. I had a head of sales who said, if insert large manufacturing company name here wanted to buy forks from us, we'd find a way to sell them forks, because they would sell whatever the customer asked them for. And then you had the same head of engineering who did this here. It was all chaos. But for the most part, for me, it was an engineer overstepping an engineer trying to, we joke about product management trying to solution. This was an engineer trying to get into the what, not, outside of the how.
Well, no one seems to have clarity on their jobs or the jobs of anyone else, right? Development says, I want to decide what we're going to build. I want product managers to make it look pretty or to do all the things I don't want to do. And sales says, oh no, everybody's wrong but me. I've talked to ones of people and I've got an insight on what the market needs.
And Steve, I'm going to ask all of us to go over and start over, because now I can make that first page about prioritization and the second page about clarity. I didn't think about it until you brought that up, and I should have, because I was typing clarity multiple times.
Indeed.
On the
Is
line
it a
before.
roadmap issue? Is this all about roadmaps and the poor use of roadmaps to be able to depict what not just from a feature-based level or a thematic level, but also from a strategic level?
Mm-hmm.
The poor understanding of the market, the poor architecture of products that really aren't scalable and interoperable, and then you're stuck, right? As a product manager, you're stuck. You have to build.
Yeah.
Because if I can't bolt on and there's no APIs then I have to build something, because there's nothing else I can do is set to put another Band-Aid on this. Unless I modernize the entire platform. And so I think it all comes down to we just don't know how to do road mapping well. And road mapping from beyond the feature set, more of a strategic level.
And Rob, I don't know if you saw the blog I had put out there on the product leadership imperative. We've gotten really good at building things efficiently, building them right. Where I feel like the biggest issue, the chance for us to make major strides in delivering value, is on building the right things, right? It's the old Drucker thing that, efficiency versus effectiveness. Efficiency is building things right. Effectiveness is building the right things. And in most organizations I engage with, I look at their development organizations, who are like, where can we get more efficient? I'm like, you guys are doing a lot of stuff really efficiently. You might be doing the wrong things efficiently, but you're doing it efficiently. And I look at this and I look at the first page of prioritization, and definitely mine. I think those all three you could put under a strategic roadmap. What in strategy do we go, and how do we do that prioritization? I think Steve's clarity is part of the solution. How do we do a better job understanding that who makes those decisions? Because is it sales, is it executives, or is it, in the reality, who makes the final decision? Jason, do you make the final decision, or do you make the recommendation to your head of product, or does your head of product make it to the CEO? Who makes the final decision on the strategic things?
It is, especially with a European company, it's very collaborative and everything's by committee.
So it's a camel.
Yeah.
The old saying that camel is a horse designed by a committee.
It's essentially that. I mean, I think for the most part, we have heads of product lines, and they are not the ultimate decision maker, but really close to that.
Lead influencer.
Yeah, exactly. Lead influencer, especially with the business case. They own all the data, the business case for things. And so they are really, it's not really the chief product officer that we do have in this organization, who kind of owns the entire portfolio strategy, if you will. Yep. From kind of a business lens for the next several years and where we want to go, where each of the product line managers are looking at how that product should meet that strategy. But I think that, that is there's an opportunity for continuous improvement there. And I think, going back to what Rob said, if you have a tight roadmap that is responding to a well communicated, agreed upon, kind of excitable strategy that is associated with a vision that everybody's kind of bought into from all areas of the organization, then the movement moves, so then everything moves a lot easier, and the chaos is not completely eliminated, but is severely diminished. And then on the same side, you have a sales team that is trained with your right toolkits on what to sell in your solutions and how to sell that. So they're not on their own, like running around trying to, like you said, put together things that customer has money that they want to spend money on. And so I've been in those situations. My current company, we're a little bit more organized, and I actually have to encourage my sales team to be a little bit more imaginative to things that I know that we can do that's on our roadmap that we can possibly push forward with a big enough deal. They're almost like been beaten down or something. They're just very, very good sales team. They never sell. That's something that we don't currently have. Where I'm like, come on, you can dream a little, you know, as long as it's in the scope. So there is kind of a little bit of that. You want them to kind of help move us to the next, you know, to the next level. But yeah, I kind of went all over the place with the answer there for you.
No, I mean, it actually comes back to this whole, I've got this whole concept of, for strategic growth framework, where it starts with the corporate strategy, who are you, what do you do? Then it moves to the portfolio strategy, product market strategy, and go to market strategy. And we, you know, you need to have those guide rails there to give them, you know, show them where the guide rails are so they, you know, stay within them, but also give them enough visibility into the vision of where we're going so they can have the flexibility to do that. But it comes down to role clarity to do that properly, right? Mm-hmm. And having the stuff there. Rob, who makes the final call for prioritization for you guys?
It's at the business owner level. So within our division, we have 5 major product business units, and then it rolls out to about 11 sub-business units. And each one rolls up to either, if it's a sub-business unit, it has a general manager, and they're making the call. If it's a major business unit, like our bank broker dealer business unit or our issuer business unit, it'll go to the business owner, the president of that unit. So you have a product manager advocating for their whatever, that goes to what we call a portfolio product manager or a product lead that owns all the product bundles in that business unit, that then rolls up to a business owner, either a president or a general manager. And then monthly we go through a prioritization process, and you're going to laugh, and I'm sure Jason, this probably happens in his world too. And then it comes down to our CTO deciding what to do. so everything gets done, and then it's out of product's hands altogether, and it comes down to somebody who really doesn't have a product hat on.
Yeah, chaos.
Chaos.
So
Rob, I'm actually, you know, in the organization I'm currently in, it's interesting. The dynamic has been for at least a while now that the product management has a little bit too much authority, I think. I like the nice balance between the head of technology and the head of product management, because I want to make sure that we are not introducing more technical debt, and they're moving in the right process with regards to DevOps and those kind of things. And so I've seen it, you know, in organizations where you have a great relationship between the head of products and the head of technology. In the company I'm in kind of now, it's like the head of products really kind of rules the roost, and the head of technology is just there to kind of catch. And
yeah,
I would like to bring that up more. Sorry?
I said we're flipped the other way.
Yeah.
Where I think technology has a little too much to say in what we do on an ongoing basis.
So that could be another topic.
Another installment of no, it definitely. Well, I think it partly goes into the concept, you know, of there's no I in growth, right? You know, growth is a team sport.